Putin announces the world's ruling class are reptilians. I just came across this and I said, wow, I better post this because of what we're reading from the Emerald Tablets, written by Thoth, the ancient Atlantean. And he tells us that, yes, there are reptilians, they come from an interdimensional area, and that to us they appear as humans, whereas they are serpent-headed, and that they do away with the actual elected leaders of the world, and they take their positions and they implement their malevolent agenda against humans. This is what is written in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. If you look at my playlist, and you'll find them there. And that was shocking, but that's what he claims in there. And these are written from thousands of years ago. And this seems to be picked up and explained by Putin in this article. This is on Truth 11. It's from Before It's News, Baxter Dimitri. Shockwaves reverberating around Kremlin as the world spreads regarding extraterrestrial meeting called by Vladimir Putin, according to sources where Russia president said that 95% of the world's ruling class are not even humans, but they're cold-blooded hybrids, quote-unquote, who are members of an ancient cult. Now, we know that Putin once in a while does say very strange things. I wouldn't put it past him to have said this. Now, did Putin just out of the world's political and financial elite as cold-blooded hybrid human reptilians? Did he really just go there? Now, speaking at a behind-closed-doors forum at the highest echelons of government and staff in his home city of St. Petersburg a couple of years back, Putin responded to questions about the Panama Papers leak by pointing out who was behind the plot: the U.S. government, their spy agencies, and George Soros' OCCRP. Putin slammed his fist on the table and exclaimed, "George Soros, you sly dragon, this is war," according to sources close to the president. Putin then vowed to ramp up sanctions against Soros' open society even further. When questioned by a top aide as to what he meant by dragon, an unusual word in Russian, Putin sighed heavily and fixed the assembled group with his trademark stare before explaining that all is not what it seems in regards to how the world is run. So here, he's basically trying to get on the same frequency as what Thoth explains in the Emerald Tablets as to these serpent hybrid, not serpent, they're not hybrid, they're interdimensional beings that are shapeshifters. But these beings supposedly do away with the actual leaders, take the form of those actual leaders, and rule in their stead. And people don't even know that it's them, that it's reptilians. And again, we have to remember what St. Paul the Apostle told us concerning what happened to Eve in the era of Adam and Eve, when the evil one, the serpent, the devil appeared to Eve in the form of an angel of light. They can even appear to us as being angels of God, whereas they are not. That's why we always have to test the spirits. Test them. Don't be afraid to test people. Ask them, get into their, what makes them tick. And what they say, you have to be careful what they say and also what they do. But anyway, this is what I guess Putin was referring to. So the dragon, the unusual word in Russian, Putin sighed, and he said, all is not what it seems in regards to how the world is run. Resisting gentle attempts by close aides to stop the president going there, quote unquote, concerning this matter, Putin said that the evidence was everywhere and that he personally had intimate knowledge of their dealings. He said that he was not one of them, but they are afraid of him and have attempted to lure him into their, quote, ancient Babylonian cult, unquote. Now, he said, the evidence, ancient and modern, is enormous. Now, one thing I know is that I don't understand where the real Putin is, because the real Putin does not look at all like the Putin that we see in this day and age. I mean, I would have ventured to say that he's got doppelgangers there, and it's not really him. And who knows, maybe there's another reptilian shapeshifter that took his position as well. But, maybe 50 years down the line, we'll still see another Putin looking just like the Putin, or looking close to the Putin that we know, or we did know. I wouldn't put it past them. They'll just keep replacing him forever. Now, Putin said that mankind has been manipulated to become unconscious, quote unquote, through the use of programming by media and politics, the perfect example of which was the recent Panama Papers leak. The world's ruling class have tyrannical control over our food, our water, our air supply, and they are actively dumbing down the masses. And he also claimed that Queen Elizabeth, quote, is not human, end quote. Putin has told senior staff and close associates that he believes Queen Elizabeth II shape-shifted while greeting him as a show of strength and warned to not mess with the dominant reptilian Illuminati bloodline. I don't know if this is true or not. I take all this with a grain of salt. I don't believe a world leader would say that about Queen Elizabeth. But anyway, this is what this story says. Brave Vladimir Putin has told senior staffs and associates that Queen Elizabeth II is not human but is a reptilian that shapeshifts between human and reptile form, and according to sources close to the president, he has witnessed her shapeshift in the flesh before his very eyes, and in his opinion, as a warning to him personally. Putin met the Queen in the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landing in Normandy, France, in 2014. He was widely criticized by the Western media for failing to help the monarch up the stairs and keeping his distance from her in general. You're not supposed to touch her. She's got bodyguards to do that. That's protocol. You don't touch her. Now it says, it has now emerged that Putin stayed as far away from the Queen as possible because he witnessed her shape-shifting moments earlier. The Queen has a long reptile face, almost like a beak, and she is a sticky gray dishwater color, he said. She shifted between this form and her human state 3 or 4 times while greeting Putin. He also saw her shapeshift later while she was being helped to her position for the world leader's photo op by Barack Obama and New Zealand's Governor General Jerry Matpare. Her hands turned into reptile hands while they helped her up the stairs, and when she smiled, her teeth changed into sharp reptile teeth and glistened. This is all according to Putin, supposedly. Putin has told senior staff and close associates that he believes she shapeshifted while greeting him as a show of strength and a warning to him not to mess with the dominant reptilian Illuminati bloodline of which she is a high priestess, and Putin's first-hand experiences with the reptilian Illuminati chime with my own research and second-hand accounts. I have dedicated the last 5 years to researching the exclusive tyrannical powers that rule our world, traveling to over 80 countries, and it never ceases to amaze me how many people from very different walks of life have told me stories about seeing people briefly turn into reptilians before their very eyes. I've been told by this California news anchor, Ethiopian goat herds, and Australian Aboriginals, just to name a few. A Danish taxi driver described driving past a group of VIP guests at the 2014 Bilderberg meeting in Copenhagen and seeing some of their faces turn reptilian and some of their heads and feet take on a reptilian look. In Peru, a respected psychic told me she sees people in power like Obama, David Cameron, and Hillary Clinton turn into reptiles whenever she watches an international news channel. The world's ruling class have tyrannical control over the mainstream media as well as our food, water, and air supply, and they are actively dumbing down the masses. The evidence against them, ancient and modern, is enormous and continuing to grow. Okay, so this is the text of the article, and to me it's just fascinating that it goes with what we just read in our latest Emerald Tablets, Thoth, Atlantean descriptions of these interdimensional beings. There are various numbers. There are numbers of interdimensional levels around us that we are not aware of. He writes in the Emerald Tablets, and that they want to chain up and fetter the human soul, because they're after the human soul. And you know who's after the human soul? It's the devil and his minions. And, well, tell me what you think. We know that David Icke talks a lot about reptilian-human hybrids. I don't know if they're hybrids or if they're just reptilians taking the shape of humans. And David Icke has a lot of things that I haven't heard of him lately, but tell me what you think about this. I don't know if Putin actually commented these things or not, but we know that the evil one does do that. He takes on many shapes. From what the monks in Mount Athos, there are 20 monasteries in Mount Athos in northern Greece, and it's a monastic community. It's male monasticism there, and no women are allowed there. And yet they do have, when they pray all night long, and they have Holy Liturgy in the morning. And many a time there are knockings on the church door, and a woman cries for help, knocking on the door, imploring them to help her and take her in, and they know it's the devil or some demon taking on the form of a human and trying to interrupt their Holy Liturgy, which is not supposed to be interrupted. Once you start it, you cannot stop. And she tries to make them frightened and bring upheaval in their prayer and in their Holy Liturgy. And we have all these types of stories that they've written about even. There are times when they have had a hand-to-hand combat with demonic entities, hand-to-hand combat. And anyway, there are such, unfortunately, these types of beings around us. It's a spiritual manifestation, and we have to be protected from things like that with our sacraments, the Christian sacraments and prayer, fasting, and Holy Eucharist, of course. So tell me what you think about this. What do you think Putin was trying to get at by saying all this, if he said all this? Thank you for your comments. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.